This is a rundown of how I use my CC Latin Trivium table. Everything that's in here is also in your purple and or blue Latin books. However, I find that this has pretty much everything, the quick and dirty reference stuff, all in one place. I have seen multiple other students use different Latin charts that they got from different online programs they're paying for or different things they've downloaded from online. And while that may still be really helpful, this seems to be the most condensed version and really easy to use. So maybe this is common sense, maybe it's not. This is how I use it. So I'm going to walk you through the different charts on here, but my biggest recommendation is just like the CC guides. If you don't read everything first, you don't know what resources that you can use when you're looking for something. So I would first recommend just read everything, even all these tiny little tidbits and these little places, because the more I read, the more I realize, oh, that would have been really helpful. So that's my first recommendation, is to just read everything. Also, maybe you're a master and you've memorized all the charts in your head, and that's really great. But for those of us that haven't, this is a great reference. And then if, like, I know the CC songs for the endings, but not always do I have everything memorized past all the CC songs. So this has all of that too. And so again, while this is not the only resource, I do find this is the most helpful, and I can't sit and do Latin really without referencing it somewhere. So on the front, we have the noun declensions, and just like the songs that we memorized, these go, I, am, all the songs are down here. You've probably seen this chart. This is the one most similar for all the other charts I've had other students bring in, that pretty much everyone has this chart. So probably you're very familiar with that. Here's the cases and then the declensions, singular and plural. There's something that I have noticed is different on here than maybe some other charts, is that there is a slash between singular and plural rather than having different columns. So there is some getting used to that if you're switching over. Also for as far as the slash, like in one column, you'll see that all throughout here. So learn what is the setup. So when this says singular slash plural, here's how it is underneath it. Whereas other places, I'll show you later, but you might see that, okay, so M/F/N, masculine, feminine, neuter. So when you go down below, it's in the same order. So just be aware that that's in there. That might look different than some of the other charts. As far as the noun chart, where you might find some extra helpful information, there are like the I stem rule is something we use with, now I'm losing it, second or third declension, I guess. Yeah, and so that information is down here too. It tells you if there's a little star next to it, that information is there. It tells you the rules. The third declension gender rules are spelled out here if you're forgetting that. Also, just your nominative and genitive, the first, for each declension, what are the first two cases? And so if you are wanting a just reminder, here's that. I don't really use that. It's all up here. But just as far as knowing that, that's helpful. But even these little rules, just like in your purple book, there's rules in boxes. I find that some of that is also here. So good reference tools. The next page is verbs. This chart is really wonderful. This has the breakdown for putting the verbs together. So when you have your stem plus the conjugation ID, your tense ID, all of that is broken down here. And so you can see that, I don't have my glasses on, hold on. So if it is the present system and it's present, and here's the meaning, I find this really helpful too. Maybe it's obvious up here, but then once you get down here to passive, the perfect system, I was verb. Sometimes it's really helpful to be able to read that when you're translating, so you can think through what does it actually mean. Okay, back up here. So here's your stem. So if you have a first conjugation verb, you have your stem, and this does have the model verbs like you have in the purple book. And then here you have your conjugation ID. You have your tense indicators based on, is it first and second or third and fourth? And then your NCC, these are blank here for your present system, but then in your imperfect, you're going to add ba, or if it's third and fourth, you add the E with the macron and the ba. And then person, you've got OST, must, his, unt. So there's again where you have the little slashes in there. So you just have to learn that this is first person singular, second person singular, third person singular, and then same for plural. And then what I find the most helpful when we learn something new in our purple book or blue book, to go then find it on the chart. So if you know this is some verb information, it's probably on here. So let's just go find it and break it down and understand kind of backwards decoding, I guess, to decide if you're learning, we put this indicator with this one in this order, how do they have it here? That is especially comes in handy when you're looking at subjunctive mood. But if you'll kind of decode how they got to this information, then when you go look at it later, you'll know what it means. I don't know if that made sense. Down when you have the passive voice, or perfect, so you are including then your to be verbs. Those are in here as well so that you know how to combine them, because then we use our adjective endings, right, with our to be verbs. So that's all spelled out in here too. Down here, you have some more helpful information about the verbs. The 4 principal parts, and this is really helpful in understanding a verb as you're learning the different parts. So here you have, just like our model verbs in our book, you have first conjugation is laudo, that is the I verb, so there's your present tense, versus the second principal part is to verb. So there's your present infinitive is laudare, laudere. And then perfect is I verb. So this just spells out with your model verbs. There's the 4 principal parts on the verb chart. This subjunctive mood chart, this is a go-to in your second semester of B or 1, I don't know. But subjunctive mood, maybe this is not stuff I don't think we memorized in foundation. So this is really helpful, and knowing, without going into it all right here, but knowing each of these, when do we use these, each line, there is a pattern. And so when you learn it in the purple book, go figure it out. What does it look like on here? So then when you are doing an assignment, you've already mapped it out. And if you need to make notes, there are other places I've made notes in Sharpie on some of ours if I want extra detail. There is a little bit of margin space to be able to do that. Then you have your imperative mood down here. Here's your common conjunctions. So this is helpful too if you are just needing some vocab. A lot of the good quick vocab is in here. Another place, vocab, I'm turning the page, and you've got some vocab with adverbs. Yeah, so down here, that's helpful. Also the vocab for a lot of the most common prepositions, that's helpful. So you can see I've just added propter was not on there for whatever reason, so I've added that too, because we use that one a lot. So lots of good definite vocab in here. This next page is the pronoun chart, charts plural. So you've got your personal and reflexive pronouns, and this is broken up very much like your noun chart. So you have the cases, and then person, is it singular or plural? Is it a personal and reflexive verb, or is it the third person, which is personal only, is one way, reflexive a different way? All that is spelled out on here. Extremely helpful. I find this chart really helpful, the interrogative pronouns. It also has demonstrative pronouns, but again, broken up by case and the different usages here. Some of them you'll see on this one, some are black and some are blue. Whether it's interrogative or relative, I use this little section a lot. And then possessive pronoun adjectives, all that is down here. I will say I have multiple copies of this Trivium table, and at some point they must have changed some of it. So some of mine has a little more information down here than the others, but I don't know what that is at the moment, and I have never not had the information I needed. So when they revamped it, maybe they made it shorter, I don't know. Anyway, that's helpful. Adjectives, you've got your adjective endings, which look very similar to your noun ones, but this breaks it up really nicely for you. And again, you've got singular, plural, and are they first and second declension adjectives or third? Over here, this is really helpful. You've got your comparative and superlative, the code, I don't know, I can't think of a better word, the way you map it out. So you've got your stem plus IOR or IUS. You've got all of this broken down, which it's really great that you're learning the details of this, but at least in my home, it's not as important to me for the long run that I have all of these formulas memorized. I want them to know the English grammar, and this to me is helping you just find that so you can translate it into Latin. All the better if you can have it memorized. But for me, just being able to reference it and find it quickly is really helpful. You've got some more vocab here, the irregular, comparative, and superlative stuff here. And then your adverbs, again, you have the how do you build it. So you've got your stem plus your other letters or endings or whatever, all that broken up in here. Here's common adverbs. That's really helpful. I like this preposition chart because not only does it have the vocab, but it also tells you what case the noun after it takes, so your object of the preposition. So if you're using sub, the object of the preposition then is going to be ablative. So everything here is ablative, everything here is accusative. And then even when you learn like the word in takes both, that's also down here. So it tells you if there's motion, you take accusative, and if not, you take ablative. So that's nice that it's spelled out for you. Speaking of ablative, this whole section over here is the different forms of ablative. So ablative of means, ablative of agent, ablative of accompaniment. So if you forget any of that, it's spelled out really clearly when do you use what. Anyway, I find this extremely helpful all in one very compact place. So my biggest tip, like I said, learn it in the purple or blue book and then just go find it in here and decode. How did they get that? What does this mean? And then you won't have to refer to your purple and blue books as a reference. It's great if you can, but this is just, in my opinion, a lot easier and faster. Hope that's helpful.